Hey folks, welcome to Damon's Baritone Uke Joint, where we will be talking about all things baritone ukulele. Now I'm sure that many of you know, but some may not, that a baritone ukulele is the four smaller strings of a guitar. Well, I've been playing guitar for 40 years and teaching for 35, and I ain't but 29. That'll be a little humor here. Sorry for that ahead of time. But I've had my own band, Harmonious Junk, for over 20 years, and my biggest professional gig was I played with James Brown, the Godfather of Soul, for over 8 years. And if you want to know more about that, you can check out my book, Working for the Man, Playing in the Band, My Years with James Brown, written with my friend Phil Carson. Okay, now let's get back to the baritone ukulele. Now this is going to be a lesson for beginners, but let's face it, we all skip a few things inadvertently, or we forget a few things along the way as we get into playing songs and having fun. So this is really for everybody because it could be a review of some of the things you may have forgotten or may have never learned to start with, some of the basics. So let's start with the names of the strings. So the biggest string is the D, the next string is the G, the next string is the B, and the next string is the E. Now you might come up with some kind of acronym for that. I came up with one yesterday. Daddy got big ears. So you might come up with your own, might be a little better than that one. But let's talk about some of the key things on the instrument. Okay, first you're going to have to get a tuner, or we could also discuss kind of how to tune if you didn't have a tuner handy. So when you get used to the instrument a little bit, you'll get used to like the tension of a string. So if you didn't have a tuner handy, you could kind of get it where you feel like the biggest string is of the right tension. It's not too loose, it's not too tight, and you're going to be good to go. You know, that's also figuring you've played the instrument in tune a little bit. So if you're totally not sure, you're going for not real tight, but definitely not loose to get a roundabout the pitch that you'd need. So, but if you don't have a tuner, the way to tune is if you're figuring that the big string is in tune, the 5th fret is supposed to be the same note as the open string underneath it. So the biggest string, when I play on the 5th fret, should sound like the string just underneath that open. The next string is the 4th fret instead of the 5th. Should sound the same as the open string below it. So it's 5th one on the big one, should be the open on the 3rd string. And we're going to call these strings. 1 is the smallest one, 2 is the second one, 3 and 4. So the 4th string is the biggest string. So when you're tuning, you got 5th fret on the 4th string should sound like the 3rd string open. And the 4th fret on the 3rd string should sound like the 2nd string open. And the 5th, we're going to go back to the 5th fret for this last one. The 5th fret on the 2nd string, the B string, should sound like the open 1st string, the E string. Okay, so once again. And what happens when you're tuning, if you're out of tune and you're not sure, say I'll be playing that first note. Say this other string is like wildly out of tune. Well, you can kind of reach over playing them together and slowly move that tuning peg until they sound like the same note. So that sounds pretty good right there. Let's check this other one out. Say that one. What I like to do also is, if I'm not too sure, let's say they're around the same note, but maybe not. I like to take that one that I'm tuning, which is the 2nd string in this case, and make it way too flat, way too loose. So you can tell there it's way too loose. Then you can slowly tighten that to bring that into pitch. And if you go too far, you got to just start over again and go low again. So say right here, maybe I'm like, oh, I think it went too far. I'm just going to take it low. Bring it back up. Okay, now obviously the next step is buy yourself a tuner. I recommend those little Snark tuners. They're about 15 to 30 bucks depending on what model you get. That'll make it a lot easier. But you know, of course, you're out, you're camping or something, you don't have one of those tuners, you forgot your tuner, your battery dies, that's how you get tuned. Now, if you're playing with other instruments, of course, you're going to have to find some kind of middle ground. You're not going to tune to somebody else's string and then try to tune the rest of your strings to themselves. Okay, so let's start looking at notes, making notes. I played that note up there in the 5th fret. Let's talk about how to make a note. So what you want to do when you're making a note, the frets on a baritone ukulele aren't too wide, so it's not like you have all kind of places to go wrong in there. But what your basic rule is you want to place your finger near that fret on each one. Say if I was going 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a little chromatic exercise we're going to talk about here in a sec. So I would want to put my finger near that fret, not on top of it, but next to it, very close to it, because if you go too far back, you're going to get a buzz. So you want to get these fingers in these good spots like that. So let's do that little chromatic exercise. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 on each string. Okay, so here's 1, 2, 3, 4. And yeah, I'm using my fingers right now. We'll talk about a pick here in a second. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. And go at your own pace, you know. And then we can go backwards, 4, 3, 2, 1. One of the things you want to do, let's look at the pick thing. Okay, so how you hold a pick, if you don't want to use your fingers, you want to get into a pick, that's kind of the next level of stuff, especially for strumming and things. I think how I hold a pick is basically like it's extending straight out from my first finger, like that, and then I kind of put my thumb across. So basically you just want, everybody's a little different in how they hold the pick and how they like to finger things and whatever, you know, it's everybody's different. So you'll find your own way of doing it. Some people don't use a pick ever, you know, like Mark Knopfler, Dire Straits, doesn't even use a pick ever. You know, Sultans of Swing, all that without a pick. Robert Cray doesn't use a pick. A lot of different people. So anyway, but with a pick, I like using a pick, and I feel like it kind of semi-extends straight out from my first finger, and my thumb kind of goes across. But basically, you just want the part that's sticking out, the pointy part. You want that to be going across your strings, because that's going to reach the farthest, and that's going to, you know, make good sounds for you. The other side, you know, you might flip it around and use that sometimes. Maybe you break the tip off this, you got to use the back end. You know what I mean? I don't know. But anyway, let's look at picking a little bit. So with picking, you want to play around the sound hole. Sometimes people on these ukuleles will kind of finger pick stuff more up in here on the neck to get a different sound. But you get kind of different sounds, like you get a really bright sound down there. You get a more warm tone here. And then it gets a little different, you know, as the further you go up the neck. So, you know, you could use a variety of places and stuff. But anyway, think about picking. If we're going to do this 1, 2, 3, 4, I would have you take it one step further and go down, up, down, up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, down, up, down, up. That makes it a nice picking exercise to get you ready for, you know, little phrases and things you'll play in songs. We're going to go backwards. Okay, so that's chromatic exercise number 1. There will be more of those coming later, but that's a good one to get you started. You can always warm up with that, you know. Now, another thing we're going to talk about, since the biggest string is a D, we're going to talk about the D major scale. Okay, so the D major scale is going to be the big string, open, and then 2, and then 4. And that's going to be 2 with your first finger and 4 with your ring finger. And a lot of times we'll have like where each finger has its own fret. And that's how you work even in different areas of the neck. You kind of designate a finger to a fret, basically. And then you can always change for certain phrases when you want to and stuff. So anyway, here goes the D major scale. O, 2, 4, and then O, 2, 4 again. And then we're going to go 2, 3. That got us all the way from D back to D. So that was D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. So let's take that backwards. 3, 2, and then 4, 2, O, and then 4, 2, O again. Okay, so let's try that. Okay, now we could take that up a little bit higher and include some higher notes in there. So we do that this time. So this is gonna be the D major scale all the way up to the 5th fret down here on the small string. What was that one called again? E, because Daddy's got big ears, right? Okay. 024, 024, and then 2 3 5 this time. Pinky on the 5. 2 3 5 again. Okay? So let's talk about one more scale. This is the blues scale. We're going to start this one on the E note right here, the 2nd fret of the D string. 2, and then open 2, open 3, open 3. See, I put the little down up picking in there. I went down on that 2, then up on the next one, which is getting a little tricky. Don't worry too much about that, but down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And then when I go back, still doing down, ups. And then I could add this little open on that one back to this one. So that would be the blues scale for E. That's the E minor pentatonic scale. Okay, so I'm going to add one note to that just for you guys who want to get a little bit more bluesy. There's a couple extra notes we can add to make it a little bit more bluesy and fancy sounding. So we're going to go 2 again, 2 open, and then 2 3. That's the flat 5th. That's the extra bluesy note. And then we got our 03 03. 3 2 0 2 0 2. Now there's one more trick for this scale before we move to chords. We're going to do all the basic chords next, and that's going to kind of wrap up this first lesson. And then you guys let me know if you have any questions. Let me know in the comments and stuff. Here goes this is going to be combining these first 2 positions of the E minor pentatonic blues scale. So we're going to go 2, open. We're going to let the 3 go this time. We're going to skip that for now. We got 2, and then open on the G string, the 3rd string. Daddy got, right? 2, 0, 2, then we're going to take that finger and slide it up to the 4th. And then we're going to go 3 5 3 5. And we can take that to 7. Now we have a whole bunch of notes for our blues scale. And I suggest going back the same way so you don't lose your place. Take that ring finger, slide it down to the 5 just like you slid it up. Now we can do one more thing with that. We can add that 3 in there, and we can add another high note to that on the top of that scale. So we can go 2 0 2 3 4 3 5 3 5 6 7. That was a repeat of that other flat 5th note. So one more time. 2 0 2 3 4 3 5 3 5 6 7. And then we go back with 7 6 5 3 5 3 4 3 2 0 2 0 2. Okay, so here are the basic 8 open chords that you need to know first. First, we're going to talk about, let's do E. So E is going to be 2 on the big one and 1 on the next one, the 3rd string, the G string. 2 1 and then open open. So that's an E major chord. Now if we take that first finger out of there, 2 open open open, that's an E minor chord. Now let's look at this. If we put 3 2s there, and I'm going to use these, and I'm going to use the 3 fingers including the pinky instead of these other 3 because these are bigger compared to these, and these can cram in that space a little easier. So we're doing the bigger 3 strings with the 2s, and then we have an open on the bottom. That's an A major. Now if we take the pinky out of there, and we come over here and use the 1st fret of the 2nd string, the B string, because Daddy got big, right? 2 2 1 open. That's an A minor. So let's go through those 4 chords again. That's half of the 8 we got through already. So E is 2, 1, open, open. E minor is 2, open, open, open. And then A major is 2, 2, 2, open. A minor is 2, 2, 1, open. Let's talk about G now. G is going to be all the big 3 are open, and then the bottom one's on the 3rd. You could use whatever kind of finger you like, depending on what other things are happening in the song. Then we're going to have a C is going to be 2, open, 1, open. So G to C. And then we have 2 Ds. We have D major and D minor. So D major is open on the big one, then 2, then 3, and I've got that ring finger there on the 2nd string. Remember, the bottom one is, the little one is the 1st string. So the 1st string I have the 2, just like I had here. Sometimes you might even start that chord with those 2 on the same one, and then you just know the other one goes in between them. So open 2, 3, 2. That's a D major chord. And then a D minor chord would be, I got to flip this finger over here. I'm going to have now, I'm on the 3rd string with the 2nd finger on the 2nd fret. Then I go to the 3rd fret on the 2nd string and the 1st fret on this little string, the 1st string. So open 2, 3, 1. That's your D minor. So let's look at those last 4 chords again. We got G, open, 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 3. We got C, 2, 0, 1, open. Then we got D, open, 2, 3, 2. And D minor, open, 2, 3, 1. So what I suggest is take one of those chords and do a nice, like 4 strums. Think about, there's like 4 beats in a normal measure, the most common types of measures. And so to fill that space, it'd be 4 strums, and then you'd be on to the next measure, and maybe the next chord change, So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go to E minor now. And then let's go to our A. Then A minor. G, and then C, and then D, and then D minor. So what you might do to get practice for how songs would really be practically, chords practically applied into songs, would be maybe you pick like a G and you do that 4 times and you go to C and you keep going back and forth between those 2. Now we could spice up that strumming thing a little bit just by putting an upstroke. So if that was 1, 2, 3, 4, what we're going to do now is we're going to go 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. So we're going to do a down up on the 2nd beat and a down up on the 4th beat. So it'd be like 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. So that spiced it up a little bit already. Go to the C, 1, 2, and 3. 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. And so I'm going to include in the tabs for this a bunch of different sample progressions. So like I'll pick 2 different chords to go back and forth to. But what you should do on your own is pick 2 chords, but you pick 2 that you think sound together that maybe I didn't use in the tab. And maybe do 3 chords or 4 chords. Maybe have a 4 chord sequence where you do each one like 4 beats and you keep repeating that as a sequence. And that's how people put songs together. You got your basic chords, you put them in the orders that you think sound good, and you just wrote your own song. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed that. Once again, I'm Damon Wood. This is Damon's Baritone Uke Joint. This is our first lesson out of the gate. So please like and subscribe and share and tell your friends to play baritone ukulele. And if you have any requests or any questions or any comments, please let us know. Leave them in the comments section, and we will see you soon. We'll see you with more exercises, more scales, more chords, and start getting into songs probably a little bit on this second lesson. So thanks a lot. I'm Damon. Have a great day.